Right, welcome back to Don Pappy Bonsai. So it's been a minute since I posted on here. And the reason for that really is what this video is about. So this video is about how to thicken up your bonsai quicker, or how to just boost the health. So I've been doing bonsai now for three and a bit years. And I'm pretty glad I've learnt this quite early on in my journey. And here it is. Basically, a couple of things to help your bonsais develop. And I'll touch on it first. Usually what people do is when they go out and they buy a bonsai, whether it be from an established bonsai dealer or seller, or they get it from, a local store like B&Q or supermarket, stuff like that, they tend to just keep it in the pot it's in, keep it in the soil it's in, and maybe start working on it in the future. A lot of these bonsai, maybe that thickness are a little bit thinner. Now this tree is about, 2.5 years old. Now this is a horse chestnut tree, conker tree. I got a conker 2.5 years ago, planted it, and this is what it is currently. So first of all, anyway, we'll wind back. When you get these bonsai, unless it's an established bonsai and you've paid a bit of money for it and it's got a thick trunk and all the developments on the branches and stuff, then it doesn't matter what I'm going to say. But if you get anything, that's this thickness or a touch thicker or a touch thinner, you want to be early on in the journey. You don't want to be putting it straight to something like this, straight to a bonsai pot, and because it's just going to slow the growth down. So a good first tip is this. So this is quite a deep pond basket. So I've been using these for about a year now. So that's like 2 years into my journey I started using these. This has been in there since spring this year. So we're now on pretty much the last day of June, 2026, start summer. As you can see, this is mainly a mix of normal bonsai soil. There's a little bit of normal soil in there, but it's mainly bonsai soil. Now, the beginning of the spring, this bonsai was there, and it's shot out some of these, but it was that height. If you look, it's more than doubled. That's probably the width of my hand, right? If I move up, the tree is more than doubled. It's pretty much, it's tripled in size. Now, this bonsai in particular, I don't want it any taller than that, which leads me on to why I'm doing this. So I've let all the shoots, I've let everything grow. I've not pruned anything apart from I moved it into here in spring. That was it. I've left it to grow. Now, the beginning of spring, this trunk was half the thickness. So it's doubled in thickness, this trunk, since spring. Coming in the beginning of spring, it was half the thickness of that. I've let all these shoots grow out. I've let everything grow. I haven't touched anything. And like I say, it's like my hand size times 3. The bonsai, like I say, is going to be there and below. I want a marmade bonsai. But I'm going to let everything continue to shoot. There's new growth constantly on it as well. All this is new growth. I'm not even lying, about 2 weeks ago, none of this fresh green growth was even there. So it's down here. So at that point, it doubled pretty much. Start of winter, what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut all this here down, right down here. And this is the bit I want to develop below my hand. So anyway, back to the pond basket. By putting it in the pond basket, as you can see, it's got loads of tiny holes. That gives air to the roots. It develops all the roots. It means that it can thicken the trunk up quicker than putting it in a bonsai pot. If I'd put this in a bonsai pot at the beginning of spring instead of in this, it'd probably be still half the size because it slows it down. This is no way near a bonsai yet. It needs to be developed. So that's the whole point of why it's in the pond basket. It gives aeration to the roots. It's giving it space. And sometime down the line, my plan is to have this in here for years as I develop it. The winter will come around, I'll cut that back, see what the branches are looking like at that point. I might wire it in the winter, might not. Branches like this can come down, whatever, I don't know. I'll have a look at it. But then I'm going to do the same thing next year as well. Let anything it wants to push out. And I'm going to do that. This year as well, my content's been a bit low, a bit quiet, because pretty much 95% of my bonsai collection I'm just letting completely grow unruly. Anyway, moving on to the next thing. So by letting all these shoots here, all this up here and all this here, even though I'm not going to have that later on in my design, it's going to be down here. By doing that, it's pushing energy right up the tree. So it's pushing all the branches, it's thickening them out, but most importantly, it's thickening this trunk. So even though I want the marmite to be down here, I want this trunk to be really thick and really, you know, have character in it. Then later on, I'll develop all these branches. But that's the aim of why I'm letting all this grow. I've seen it with other trees, and I'm going to do some other videos as well about this, but I've seen other trees thicken up. I've seen other trees looking the healthiest they've looked. You know, I've got a spruce that was my first raw material. I've completely left that alone this year. It looked a bit weak last year. I've left it alone this year. It's constantly putting out new growth. It's looking really good. So, back to it. If you want to improve your bonsai and you're at the beginning of your journey and, you know, the trunks are not very thick, put them in a pond basket. Treat them the same. You know, give them fertiliser, keep them watered. But let everything explode with growth. Just let all the shoots run wild. Let all this sort of stuff run wild. In return, you're going to get a thicker trunk quicker. You know, I want this to get a lot thicker than what it is now, but the fact it's double in thickness, you know, it's a solid trunk that, and we've not even finished the growing season. So get all your young material, all these saplings, get them in pond baskets when they're ready. I left this from, I planted a conker 2.5 years ago. I let it get to 2 years. It was just in a plastic pot before that, and then I moved it into this. So if you've got anything that's not 2 years, let it get to 2 years old. Make sure it's strong enough, then move it into there. So thank you. Leave any comments, subscribe. Appreciate it. Thank you.